Sunday afternoon. It'll be a new book launch. Book is not ready yet, will only be ready on the 19th of April. But today we have Tan Sing read from a new collection, Keeping Skeletons, the Major and David collection. And Cyril will be our moderator for today, so he'll be doing the Q&A and any questions with Sing. I'm going to drag more time. I'll let Sing introduce herself and Cyril also do some introduction. Okay, thank you.
Hello. Thank you for coming. On behalf of both actually Math Paper Press and Arts House, thank you for being here. As Kenny was saying, Kenny is the book's actually owner, publisher, many hyphenates. This is Tan Sing's first book of poems. It will be out on the 19th of April. Today she'll be reading from sections of her book. The book is called Keeping Skeletons. I think as a kind of short introduction, a very vague one in a way. I mean, I think I was saying just now during Jolene Tan's poetry reading that there is a dearth of female poets in Singapore. A dearth of female poets writing about certain themes, more personal themes, more introspective themes. And it's very, it's wonderful that someone like Kenny from Books Actually and Math Paper Press is trying to push out a lot of younger female voices in poetry. So please do, when we have another book launch for Lee Sin and for Jolene Tan on the 19th of April, please come to Books Actually to support them. So for today's session, Lee Sin will be reading her poems, and I hope you can also introduce the themes of your book and the structure of your poems.
Hi everyone. So I'll be reading from the first section of the book, Bones. The first poem is in response to the white girl's Jeremiah. The river that lies between city lights and country houses flows in these colored veins. The tropical rain beats from the equator of his skin, and something foreign spills from the tip of his tongue. But what lies inside are poems about a race the gods did not intend to create. It can change the shades of your skin, but not the composition of herself, not the songs your mother wrote for you. And yeah, that's the end of poem. And then I'll be reading veins from the section Bones as well.
Can you introduce a bit?
Oh, sorry. In response to the white girl's Jeremiah, I wrote it because I read this poem by an English girl. She was talking about how she wanted to become someone else. She didn't want to be white. So I thought that embracing your identity is very important. So I wrote this poem in response to how she didn't like her white identity. Yeah, and so I feel that even if she becomes someone else, she will not really be she will not be happy because it's just not her. Yeah. And then, yeah, so I read veins from the same section. Your hands are stained with blood, but are cold against my skin, but I am not afraid. My veins have grown with time, weaving a dress that keeps me warm. They are strong enough to give me life, and even if your fingers close around my lungs, and even if you cut me open, I will not bow down, for the art inside me will keep me safe, and give me strength to hope and dream, and hope and dream. So I wrote this in response to oppression in society. Basically, if you're a writer, people just, teachers don't like you, I feel. So I feel just, yeah, so I feel that, okay, in this social context, people don't really welcome writers or people who do the arts. And so I feel that even if I've faced such oppression before, and even if these people bring me down sometimes, I will not give up and I'll just continue to do what I like. Yeah. And so the next poem is from the same section. That was a day when the summer buzzed like insects and glimmered like gems. The grass was our bed, and our laughter, the song of bells in the wind. There we could be ourselves. You held a doll and ran a toy car over my skin, and I had wished that would erase the cells which wrote my name. I think this poem is more applicable to children and as in girls who wish to be boys and boys who wish to be girls. Society usually define these boundaries and say that okay, girls cannot play with toy cars or like boys cannot play with Barbie dolls. And I don't think that should stop them from doing what makes them happy. So I wrote this. When I wrote this, I felt a bit sad because as in when you were born, you're already confined by these societal boundaries, and so I hope that this poem will encourage people to just break out of these boundaries and do what they wish to do. Yeah. And then okay, I'll move on to section 2, which is skin. So the skin is the surface of the body, and so the poems in these sections are about things that are examined at a very superficial level or like not given enough thought. So the poem that I picked from this section is called Indelible Movement, and my friend Risha, she was the one who gave me the title for this poem, so thank you. Okay, so Indelible Movement. 4 p.m., the subway station. Her needle twirls the yarn around, and a man stares at the muscle that flex and gives life to the face inked on his skin. It's a very, very short poem, and I wrote it when I was in the train because I saw this lady knitting something, and she had a lot of tattoos on her skin. And then I saw this man staring at her very curiously, like as though someone with tattoos shouldn't be knitting. So I thought that it's also about societal boundaries and societal expectations and how if you behave in a sort of way or like you have tattoos or something like that, you shouldn't be doing something that goes against that image that you have portrayed. So I just think it's ridiculous, and thus I wrote this poem. Yeah. Okay, and then the skin section is very short, so I'll move on to the next section. The next section is the brain. It is where the memories are kept. And so the poems in these sections are mostly about memories and remembering something and using words to keep a memory alive. Okay, so this poem is When You Are Dead. It's a bit more vague, sorry. Okay, so I will keep a fire alive to wait for the return of your ghost. Please let it wander, let it whisper my name, let it share my reflection, and let it listen to the hollow song in my chest. I wrote this because I think it's very sad that people die, people die and leave their lives, and so I wrote this to remember the people who have left my life, and sometimes I do wish that you'll come back, but it's not possible, so only words can bring them back. Yeah.
Okay. For those of you who just come in, those poems that you've heard is from her manuscript Keeping Skeletons, which will be out on 19th April at Books actually. So please do take note of that. Now for the Q&A section, I just wanted to just start off by asking, you divided your book into sections, right? What do you hope to gain from sectioning your poems like that when the reader enters your poems like for the first time? This is your first book, so this is a very, very big question for you, right? Because you never know what you're going to expect when you publish a book, but secretly, deep inside yourself, what do you hope for readers to take away when they read your poems? Read your poems in those sections.
I split them into like sections so that the reader can focus on that one thing that I try to explore with those poems. Like for example, the brain, it's like about the memories. So those poems must be about the memories. And so when they have finished reading the book, they'll have a very clear idea. Oh, okay, she has these different themes. So the themes are very clear to the person. So they won't feel like, oh, what are you talking about? But all these poems, they all link back to the same idea about keeping something that will be lost eventually. I mean, your identity will one day might be taken away from you anyway, your memories too. So yeah, they all link to the same thing, but they explore a different idea to go back to that keeping something that will be lost.
Yeah, I mean, I sense that in your poems there is a fear, I think, a fear of losing many things, losing something more abstract, like say a sense of self, an identity, but also a very literal form of losing, which is death, and all that. Can I just ask you, I mean, I think I was saying just now in the earlier reading, as poets, when we talk about our poetry, we cannot help but talk about ourselves, because it's so much, it's our feelings and our soul and our heart all on a page, right? So why do these concerns matter so much to you? I mean, I'm sure these will be revealed in your poems, but if you can sum it up in a way, why do these things haunt you so much? I mean, your book's called Keeping Skeletons, you're keeping something in there, right? Why do these skeletons have such an impression?
Okay. Firstly, to me, identity is very important, and I don't like it when someone tries to change who I am or try to shape my identity. So these poems are in response to those people who try to change someone else's identity. And about losing somebody, I don't think there's any way to keep somebody by your side forever. So the only way to remember them forever is by words. Yeah, and so I'm just very scared of losing people. So yeah, so it's my only way of trying to remember the times that I've spent with these people.
But does writing about, letting go of people help you to, in a very real sense, let go, to move on from, death, which is always an eventuality, Do these poems, when you write about loss, about departures, or losing a sense of self, does it help you in a way? Does it make you stronger,
Okay, I guess when I write about them, I'll just feel more comforted. Like, I'll just know that I'll always have these words to help me to cope with these issues. Yeah, it's my way of expressing myself, even if no one wants to listen to me. Yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I have a question for you. You said that you hate to lose your identity, and you also mentioned that identity is important to you. Could you describe to us what is identity defined, and what is a Singaporean identity as a Singaporean yourself?
Does being is your sense of identity tied to being Singaporean at all?
I guess it is, of course, definitely. I call this place my home, but yeah, when I write these poems, I do bear in mind that I have to be talking about this Singaporean context. So whatever issues that I address in these poems is all about living here in Singapore and being Singaporean and the problems that I face because I write stuff. Yeah, and I think how I define identity is just about being true to yourself and not living a life that other people expect of you. You have to live the way that you think is the best for you.
So I come to my next question, and that is, how did you overcome fear from losing your identity and also having someone else to rob of your identity?
Has anyone tried to rob you of your identity?
Maybe not.
Feel free to share.
Okay, maybe not. It's maybe just people who just cannot understand why I'm not writing so much, I guess. It's just a part of me. You cannot make me stop writing. So, yeah, when these people ask me, they just, as in when they try to bring you down with, telling you, okay, you cannot write. So it's writing these poems is it's my way of rebelling against them, I guess, and saying, look, I can write, I can do it. As in, and yeah.
I think there's a useful way of explaining your poems. I mean, you're also a business student, right?
Yeah.
So does being in that kind of environment create challenges in terms of like your identity as a writer? Do people kind of look at you and go like, you write poetry, why? This kind of thing, right? So do these things appear a lot in the poetry? This kind of defense mechanism against these people who tell you that you must be this, you cannot be that,
Yeah.
How do you resolve it?
Okay, the business student part, right? Where I was, because I'm studying accountancy, for those who don't know that, and a lot of people in my school will be like, what? You write poems? And then they don't believe that I can write. And then so the voice in those poems will, it just address all these like these things that they impose on you. Like if you're an accountancy student, you can't be writing. It just doesn't match. And then and like for example in Bone Days, is in the other poem that I have not shared. I will always talk about how I'll say something like, oh, people try to make me do something else that they think is fitting of my image, and then but then I will say something else like, I will do what you want me to do, but then inside I will not change for you. I'm still that person inside me, even if I do that on the surface. Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions?
Where did you get inspiration from? I think all these poems.
Inspiration.
Okay. Inspiration. Everything is when I see
People
something.
piss you off.
Okay, in the past it was mostly people who piss me off. Now it's just like things that
It's just the truth. You're all about the truth. To me, you're poets. It's all about revealing the truth. Yeah.
Now it's just more like if I see something that I think should be addressed, then I will talk about it, and I don't really care if I offend someone. I think, like for example, I will talk about education in Singapore, and then I will talk about why it stifles creativity and stuff like that. It's just issues that I feel should be addressed, and I don't really see people addressing them.
Yes.
I wonder what role do you think the arts will play in Singapore over the next 20, 30 years to kind of put and give voice to some of the sentiments that have been expressed here today?
Do you have a hope for the future for the arts and what role it plays in Singapore society? Maybe not 20 years, 10 years?
Hope. I'm quite hopeful because there's a publisher like Kenny
Who's the exception, not the norm?
Yeah, who's willing to give people a chance. So thank you, Kenny. And yeah, and I feel that young Singaporeans are more and more open to things that are outside of the norm. So I guess I'm quite hopeful. And
So you say that the arts will continue to provide an avenue for an alternative voice?
I think so. I feel, yeah. I'm sure there are more people like me outside who. So yeah.
I think it's a very complicated issue because it's not just a division between arts and society. I think there's a lot of things that hold these things together, which are all very interconnected. There is government agencies, there's the education system, there's the media, and then the population keeps changing. The kind of Singaporean identity always changes every 10 years. So all these things, I think, make us rethink what is the arts, right? But I think what Lee Sin is also trying to say and expressing through her poem is that, in Singapore right now, and I suspect this will be the same, 10 or 20 years from now, it will always be a struggle in the sense of artistic expression versus, capitalist pragmatism. There'll always be that tension. What is the place of the arts and all that? What do you think about that? I mean, you obviously feel passionately about this, being a poet, and then you feel the tensions very, very personally as a business student. You suffer all these things all the time. A lot of poets tend to just withdraw, from the public sphere and just to write or not just poets, dancers, artists, that. How do you see yourself resolving that tension?
I think it's just about being being courageous and standing up for what you really believe in, and don't give up even if someone tells you that like the place arts has no place in Singapore, because I really believe that this will change eventually, even if it takes like 20 years. I do. Yeah.
Anyway, right now, just to add to that, I think because Singapore is such a pragmatic, practical place, arts will always have a place, in Singapore. And to put it in a very cynical way, arts will always have a place because it adds to the culture of Singapore. It makes Singapore more acceptable. Some arts, in the same way, is on the same level as F1 Grand Prix, as botanical gardens by the bay. It's just on that same level. So there's no real emotional investment in what is the arts really, things like that. So for better or worse, there will always be support. So, what do you think of that? Am I being too cynical?
No, I agree with you. I guess like Singapore is very commercial, so they only accept stuff that is commercial and can sell. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone else? Any questions?
Sorry, is curiosity, intellectual curiosity important to you? Because you've been writing poetry for quite a while now, in order to make this materialize. And do you think the title "Keeping Skeletons" is appropriate, to your identity? And why do you call "Keeping Skeletons"? Are you obsessed with skeletons?
Not really. I say skeletons because it's it's actually the title of another poem which I will read later. It's just I just mean it. I just want it to symbolize something that will be gone, as it will be buried and then it will come back. It's just that I mean it that way. I don't mean it literally. I mean it as a symbol. Yeah.
So how about intellectual curiosity? Is it important to you?
Yes, definitely, because I say you have to be intellectual. I say you have to be.
I think you have it naturally if you want to write poetry. Or else nothing will flow out if there is no sense of curiosity about the world. About ideas, about theories, philosophies. I mean, you have a philosophy about how you want to live meaningfully, right?
Yeah, it's definitely important to me. I feel that if I don't have that curiosity, then I wouldn't even care about what's happening around me. Yeah, so it's all these things that happen around me that make me write. So I definitely have to have that interest and that curiosity.
So, just the last question. What would be the 3 points could you encourage Singaporeans and Asians at large on how to develop the interest in poetry and writing, the way you write?
I guess you have to be open to criticism, and then you have to just write what you think is correct. You cannot confine yourself to societal, as in the boundaries of society. Okay, and then you have to basically it's just about staying true to yourself when you're writing. It has to be your own thoughts. If not, it defeats the purpose of writing a poem, because these are your personal thoughts. So you cannot be someone else's thoughts. Yeah.
Does anyone else have pointed questions for her? No? I guess you can move on to your. Will you be reading Keeping Skeletons?
Yeah. Keeping Skeletons from the section The Brief. You are the writer of children in decay. Your words, memories of skeletons in the ground. The people in your stories are dead, but beauty stands before me without blood or soil, and in my mind I have pictures I have never seen. I see the age in everyone, and I feed a fear. So teach me how to twist the hands of time and keep what will be lost. I wrote this when when I went to the market with my mom, sitting over there. And because I saw old people, and then I saw that my mom has aged, and I felt very sad. So yeah, so this photo is basically about trying to. It's just like the whole theme. It's just about trying to keep something that will eventually be lost. So words is the only thing that can keep them alive. And I also draw inspiration from an autobiography that I read. It's about as in the writer is writing about her past, and I thought it was amazing that these words can make these characters seem like they're still alive and still very young, like children. So yeah, so this poem is basically just about something that will be lost eventually.
Words is the only things that keep things alive.
Yeah.
This is a great summary, of what makes you a poet, isn't it? You write to keep things alive, whether it's a memory, an identity, who you are. So with that, I would conclude by saying, Tani Sin's book is called Keeping Skeletons. I think I've summed up what her poems are about, which are all very rich, very personal, very urgent, very fearful, but in a very, very moving way. So please do look out for her book. It should be on sale in Books Actually on the 19th of April. If you want to get updates about Books Actually's readings, please go on the Facebook page. Just look for Books Actually and just join the page. And then there will be an event page drawn up for Tani Sin, and then you will know when the reading is going to happen. And you get very non-intrusive reminders. Yeah?